One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV.
Yeah.
It's BV. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV.
It's BV and Jellified, Jimmy Beam and Bly. Reaching highest where we reach, yo, it's highest to the stars. Beats in the villain Jeep, vibrating other cars. Whose world is this? Yo, we say the world is ours. So we grow beards, no fear, photos so clear. Take another shot, so to speak, yeah, more beer. BV worldwide, put a fist to the sky. Cheers, cheers, New Year's, dope rhyme, good vibes. My crew speaks power, Chi-Town bleeds power. Knowledge, wisdom, and truth in the final hour. Respect, loyalty, family, charity speaks power. Here the village brotherhood speaks honor. Forwards and onwards, stay villain to the end. I will never shave again because my beard is not a trend. I represent excellence, leadership, and never follow. I'm a BBC member, yo, lieutenant of Chicago.
One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. It's BV. 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 Yo, all I see.
Hello and welcome. Welcome, one and all. Hello and welcome to a Friday night. Boy, guys, it's Friday night, and you are here for the Heart of a Villain. And what is it? This is episode
69, dudes!
You're going to be hearing that all night long. Because when I knew I was going to be coming up on episode 69, I was going to be saying this.
69, dudes!
Yes, 69 episodes in. 69 dudes. This is the Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the bearded villains' worldwide brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. And, well, 69 episodes in. We have no real agenda for tonight. This is just going to sit back and talk. I've got a couple of things that I want to discuss up here on my little board. I've got a few things to talk about, and we're just going to kind of go with the flow tonight. For episode 69. We're still in this kind of a pandemic thing, but you know what? Hey, apparently, if you live in my part of the world, I guess we're just supposed to assume that the pandemic is done now, based off of current regulations and how things are going. I don't know if that's a great idea, but we'll see. I'll get into that here in a few minutes. But guys, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Heart of a Villain. And this is the Heart of a Villain. I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the comments coming in. Yes, very funny stuff. I'll get to you guys there in just a minute. For those of you who are first-timers here on the YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. This is usually where we talk a lot of stuff about the Bearded Villains Club and what we're doing. The Beard Club that's worldwide has over 4,000, almost 4,500 members around the world. And our chapters are doing some really cool things, raising money for some things, changing lives. Right now, with most of the world still shut down and we're in this kind of limbo time of year, it's a little slow right now. So when these times happen, I take a little liberty and say, this is my show. What do I want to talk about? And there's some guests that I want to bring on in future episodes, but I don't want to inundate them with having to bring them on all the time. And so I want to wait for some people specifically for different events to come up and different times of the year. So that's why sometimes I don't have interview guests coming on here. But yeah, so we're just going to have a chit chat, and we're going to have a chit chat tonight. If this is your first time here, make sure you like and subscribe on that little YouTube thing, so you are alerted of all the fun stuff coming down the pike. And we're gonna have some good fun down the road here for sure. So I want to get into a few things here, but first let's acknowledge and say welcome to everybody who is here live on YouTube, spending some Friday night time. Now, if you are here and you're not in the comment section right now, thank you for being here. I can only go by the people that are in the comment section that are commenting so that I know that they're here. If you're not commenting, throw a comment in there. Tell me what you're doing, what you're up to tonight. How are you spending your Friday night? What's going to be going on with your weekend? What's going on in your neck of the in your neck of the woods, in your part of the world? I wanted to say part of the world and neck of the woods at the same time, and that's why neck of the world came out. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. But yeah, Rob, how you doing, buddy? Rob with 2 B's, Rubaba is in the house. He's always the first one here chiming in. It's always great to see his message 10 minutes before we start up. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yes, Rob. Jay's in the house. We know where Jay is. What's that mean? That's Sharissa's in the house as well. He always makes fun. His comment tonight had me rolling. This girl's always following me. Mulligan's back in. Hey, Mulligan, how you doing, buddy? The Pack for Life 12. That's Wheels. Wheels. Super, super solid, dude. How's things going down south, buddy? Appreciate you being here. We're just going to hang out and Jay, hey, maybe it is the Heart of a Villain drop-in show. I don't know. If we're going to get to the phone call portion of our show a little later. And if that happens, I'll need to make sure I go over and grab my phone so I can recognize and so I can bring up those phone calls. Because right now, my phone is across the room from me, and I will show you. You won't get, people that are watching will get the kick out of this, but everybody else won't. I'm using a wireless cam service here in the studio, using my phone, and for some reason, I'm not sure why, but the image is kind of blurry from afar. I don't know why. I haven't nailed that down yet, but I wanted to try something new tonight. Give a very wide angle shot so you can kind of see, those watching anyway, can see what exactly it looks like here in the studio. And the nice thing about that is it's a wireless system, so by using the camera or the camera in the phone, so I can actually bring that over here, do walkarounds and all sorts of stuff. When we do eventually get to the point where the pandemic is past us a little bit and people are able to come here live in the studio, I'm really looking forward to that. I'll be able to walk around and do some special things with that as well. But yeah, this could be, yes, as Jay says, the HOAV drop-in show. Maybe. We'll see. See how things go. We'll have to bring back that stuff. As I was talking about, Sharissa chimes in, the kids go back in class learning Monday. She's so happy. Yeah, I am too, and I'm going to get into that. It's ironic that you say that because one of the things I am going to discuss a little bit tonight is the pandemic and what it has done to the mental stability and to causing some mental anguish amongst our teens and the school-aged children that we do have, because it has really taken a toll on the mental health of our students for sure. And I've seen that firsthand, absolutely. So, but I do want to get into that a little bit. I know the statistics and things that I'm going to talk about are U.S. here in the States, but as I could probably understand it, that this is probably because it's a global pandemic, this is something that's affecting people all over the place. So I'm sure that statistically speaking, the numbers are pretty close to the same everywhere you go. So, Jay, no, this does not mean I'm going to be rapping. So, sorry about that. Great job on the new patch, BP. Hey, Mulligan, I appreciate the comment there, buddy. It was a lot of fun doing it, and me and the 2 other officers of our chapter had a lot of fun designing that. And I need to give a special shout out to our brother over at Central England, BV Central England, Longman, Neil. He is the one that we gave the logo to, our idea to anyway, kind of a hodgepodge image that we could come up with. Here's what we kind of want. And he made the thing come to life. And he did such an amazing job with it. So proud of it and so happy that he was able to do that for us. And I know that he has worked on and done some logo work for other chapters within BV circles, in addition to the Central England logo that they have been using in about 30 or 40 different capacities, it seems like, with all the different varieties of patches. or stickers they're putting out and different things. So I love seeing that. Gator's in the house. It's my first time, he says. No, it's not. But we appreciate it, man. I always love it when people are able to, some of our biggest, loudest voices within BV are able to hang out with us for a bit here too. For sure. Checking out. BP, you know I'd be happy to be your bourbon tasting guest. Well, come on down here, buddy. Come on down here. I don't have the COVID, so you can come on down and hang out. Get that border open, and you can come on down, man. For sure. That's what we're gonna do. We got the space over there across the room for me here, and we're gonna hang out and have some good stuff. So so I'm gonna get into a few things here. I do want to say, as you guys know, I typically like to try and share when other chapters come out with new merch, and I just actually found it this evening here, and it was at enough time that I was able to share it and get a little slide together for it. So the South Mississippi chapter has their new Pride patch for sale for $8.50. So get over there to those brothers, man. Always great stuff over there. Great patches that they're throwing out. Great merch. South Mississippi Pride patch for $8.50. It's a 3.5-inch circular patch. Go to bvsouthms.bigcartel.com for further information on that. While we're talking merch, I do want to say thank you very much to the amazing response to everybody, since we've already talked about it a little bit. The amazing response that we received here in Indiana, northern Indiana, for our patch. This little guy right here, those of you watching, this is the size of it. This patch, man, it sold out so fast. I thought that we would have, a quick sell of about half of the amount, and then we'd sit on a few for a couple weeks or maybe a few days specifically. But boy, those things were gone in less than an hour. So anybody that I tried to get word out in advance that this is when the sale was going to be going on, anybody that was unable to get on that sale, I do apologize. It shocked us all. So, but congrats to everybody else, and thank you so much for all the support. We've got some other things coming down the road. So just keep your eyes out. We're having a lot of fun with it. It's always fun with a new chapter and going through the whole process of new patches and different things. So thank you guys so much. And then again, while we're talking merch, just for those of you who weren't around last week, didn't know, I am coming out with the official or quote unquote official or whatever it is, coming out with some BP shirts. If you want to have a shirt with the silhouette of yours truly on it, just the face, not the big fat body, just the face, or the initials or the phrase, be the villain the world needs you to be. Got a couple different variations of said items. Just keep your eyes out. We're going to be throwing some stuff together for that as well, coming down the road. It's not an ego thing for me. I just decided, hey, the shirts that I get from Jeremiah for the podcast are awesome shirts. They're super soft, and I would like to wear those shirts more often. So instead of spending $30, $40 for a t-shirt someplace for a super soft t-shirt with some logo on it of some other company, I just figured I'd rather support the podcast and just wear my own shirt. And so that's kind of where that idea came from. So the BP line of clothing of t-shirts will be out coming up down the road. Keep your eyes and ears out if you're interested in those things. All right, guys, I am going to roll on here. There's a couple of things I want to discuss, and we're just going to see where this episode takes us here. I do want to give a quick shout out to one of our brothers who is a villain in the news. We've seen in a few of the different chat rooms. One of our brothers was given a shout out in a local news station. So this is the segment that I sometimes use for what I call villains in the news.
Bearded villains in the news. Ohio is being recognized for his beard. George Kelly's beard is 18 inches long. He recently placed third in the entire country in the National Beard and Mustache Championship. Who knew there was such a thing? He's been growing it out for the past few years while competing in various events throughout the Midwest. Kelly enters those competitions as a member of the Bearded Villains Ohio chapter. He says this brotherhood, a beard, is more than just a competition.
Before we have an event, we will get with all of our brothers inside the chapter and discuss on what we want the charity to go to, and whatever the biggest vote, the more votes for that charity, that's what charity we do to.
And they say that's why they're growing those beards out, to raise money for charities. The money is raised through contest entry fees and auctions at the events. Kelly says the main focus is really just giving back to the community.
So, Brother Kelly, thank you so much. It's very cool to see when our brothers are honored for their magnificent beards. We have some really good beards out there doing the beard game thing, but especially when we get a little bit of focus on what the bearded villains are, what they're all about. I love seeing that. So, Mr. Kelly, thank you so much, George. Very cool to see. And congratulations on your placing. Congratulations on the publicity, both for you and for Bearded Villains and the chapter itself over in Ohio. OH. Okay. I think that's what they say. That's what I think they say anyway. So, guys, this week was kind of interesting for me because as I just cleared my throat into the microphone, I apologize for that. This was a fun, very kind of retrospective week, I guess I could say. I was sitting down with the wife earlier this week, and we were sitting down talking. And as things happen, as things come across the Facebook land and different things, there was this meme thing that came up on hers. And every once in a while, there's these memes that'll come up, and they just kind of tell you about, hey, you know, just to put things in perspective, if this were 19 whatever years ago and all this other stuff, and you're just like, wow, did that happen that long ago and all this stuff? Well, this one was kind of cool because it actually mentioned one of my old favorite shows from TV shows from back in the 80s. And I thought it was pretty cool. And so I just wanted to explore this with you for just a second, because how cool is this? Just to kind of put things in place. Now, those of you who are international viewers right now, I don't know if this was a TV show that aired where you're at, but there was once a TV show here in America that debuted after the Super Bowl one year called The Wonder Years. It debuted in 1988 and followed the exploits of a young boy in junior high, and it was set in the year of 1968. Now, I remember thinking to myself back then, as I was watching this in 1988, 20 years later, of course, from the time it was set, I was born in 73. And so, obviously, for as long as I've been alive, the 60s just kind of seemed like this thing that was out there. You always heard about things that happened in the 60s, but it always felt like it was really a long time ago, you know? And so this was kind of one of those aha moments for me, I guess. But it just felt really weird because, as this image here that I'm sharing live says, The Wonder Years premiered 33 years ago today, 1988, depicting the events of 20 years earlier, which was 1968. Now, a similar show made today would be set in 2001. Holy cow. My first thought was, that can't be true. As long as I've been alive, the 60s was like, it felt like it was ancient times. I mean, not realistically, but you know what I'm saying? It felt like it was a long time ago. Because I was born in 73, I don't have memories, you know, until mid-70s, obviously. But the fact that this show was depicted in a time that was before I was born. And it was just this huge wake-up call for me to realize how time flies. Time freaking flies by. And it got me thinking about a whole mess of other things. And it wasn't like a full-blown midlife crisis type of thing, but it really made me kind of fall back into myself and just be very introspective for a while and think how quickly things change and how the years that just seem, the older we get, the memories that we have, they stay with us so vividly. And what seems like in your own head was just 5 years ago could very easily have been 30 years ago. Many of us can easily say that 10, 15, 20 years after they graduate high school, the memories of high school are so vivid, and they seem, if you just kind of close your eyes, you can bring back the smells. You can bring back those images in your head so clearly. And so this was a weird night for me when I saw this, because as I said, this TV show that it was in 1988, set 20 years earlier. So it was set to a time that was before I was born, and that's why it threw me off. Because I can remember 1988, the year this came out, the first episode in the following years after the show, started airing. I can remember those like it was yesterday myself, because that was the time when I was just going into high school. And so it's very clear to me. I can actually remember the preview saying, "Stay tuned after the Super Bowl. Here is the for the premiere episode of The Wonder Years." I can remember that. There was all this hype about this show. And it's the weirdest thing when you look back on things, that when you start to think back how quickly time flies and how precious the time that we do have is right there with us, because you're going to turn around and it's going to be gone all that time. And so, I've made no mistake about my age. Obviously, I'll tell you I'm 47. And the fact that being born in 73, I was like, at the time when this TV show was set, I was 5, 6 years old, depending on how you look at it. And it's just a really, really mind-blowing thing to think back now. A TV show made today under the same circumstances 20 years before was made in 2001. Think back to that. 2001 was like just yesterday. It was just yesterday, but it wasn't. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. The older I've gotten, those memories are still there. They're still vivid. But I think the older I get, the easier it is for me to focus on what's important. And those memories become more and more precious to you for what they are, what they represented. But damn, to think back. And the other thing that this kind of spurred me on to was looking back on, and I do this quite often because as I've gotten older, I start to think back about my life and my childhood and when I was growing up and what it was like for my parents. Because as you grow up, if you think about it, when you're growing up and you're 10 years old, 12 years old, 15 years old, your parents seem so old. They are your parents. They are the adults. And you look up to them in most cases. But they seem so much older. And I've thought about it a few times in the past, but I've never really done the math. I mean, I've never really focused on the math part of it and to realize, and then to kind of go back in my own memories and think back. And this may not interest any of you guys, but I would love for you guys to spend some time in thought over the coming week and just think about this in your own lives. I started to realize that some of the, and I don't even have to go back to like my childhood memories, but this whole thing with the 20 years and the TV show, that whole thing, it made me realize that the memories that I have of my parents at a time in their life when I am currently at that same age, that kind of freaked me out. Because I am now older than some of these memories of my parents were. And I just remember looking back and thinking, as I was in junior high and when I was in high school, and my parents they were your parents. They just seemed older. They just seemed old, right? But now I'm at a point in my life at 47 that I look back now and I realize that when I used to think of my parents as old, I am now that age. I am now that age or even a little bit older than the memories I have of my own parents. And I don't know. It's a little freaky to think about. This past year, being 2020 that it was, with all of the pandemic and all of the health issues that people had, the different family members that passed away from different things that we saw, we were reminded how important it is to stay close to those you love. We were reminded about so many different things. We were reminded what's important in life. And, I'm one of those that wears my heart on my sleeve, and I have no problem telling people about emotional things that happen in your life, my life. There's movies that you watch that every single time some scene comes across, or maybe it's a whole movie, and it just touches you in a way that you can't explain to anybody else. Gives you chills, brings you to tears. It could be an inspirational speech. It could be a song. Something in our lives that touches us in that way. And so this week was a very interesting week for me because, as I mentioned in the explanation of this episode, it was kind of an epiphany thing. I didn't expect it, but it was just an aha moment for me where I realized that, you feel it. You feel it as you get older. I'm getting older. Things aren't as easy as they were. If you're like me, then you got out of shape. You're working yourself back into shape or something like that. But you always have these thoughts, these memories of what your parents were like. And to realize that I am now the same age or older than a lot of these memories that I can very vividly remember of my own parents. It was it was a wake-up call, really, to make me realize how quickly life changes. Just to think that next year will be, my wife and I both, we realized that in the next year and a half or so, we'll be celebrating, 30 years since high school. I mean, those kinds of things. It's the only thing I can say, guys, as I ramble on here, is to take time to cherish what's important, to tell the people that matter to you that they matter. take the extra time to enjoy the little things. Don't be in such a hurry. My gosh, don't be in such a hurry. If there's one thing that our youngest has taught me, for those of you who don't know, we have 3 older children, the youngest of which is just recently turned 16, and then we have our youngest is now 6. And when she came along, I quickly realized that I was doing things differently with her. And I was taking more time. I was enjoying and relaxing and not worrying about so many of the things that would have bothered me or would have aggravated me with the first 3. And I think the older we get in life, it's important that we take that time to recognize what's important. We need to take the time to recognize when something is important and see it for what it is. We are in way too much of a hurry right now in life. There's times where people will say, "What are you doing?" "Nothing." Nothing's okay. There's times where I'll just be sitting in a chair thinking about what's going on in your life, with your friends, with your brothers. We don't need to always be go, go, go. I think that's the one thing that I'm going to take away from this week. And there's speeches out there that talk about what's important or how to find something important in your life and different things like that. And I think it's really important for us to always look out for those things because they push us in a certain direction, and they kind of provide a wake-up call to us. But that's been my takeaway from this week. Yeah. Jay says, as he quotes Ferris Bueller, "Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it." Wise words from Ferris. Wise words indeed. Rob reminds us, we need to put the brakes on and take a moment to realize what we have. Tell your loved ones you love them. Let go of grudges and the ill will. Stop and smell the roses. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. So, yeah. That's kind of one of my main messages of this week is just to see things, take time and see things for what they are so that you can recognize how incredible certain moments are. One of the things that I asked people just recently this week, and I want to, for those of you who are listening to this, for those of you who are watching this, I will say one of the things that I just reached out recently on Instagram to ask people about was to pay attention to the things that happen in your life that seemingly happen for no reason. I sent a message out today asking people, have you ever been in a situation where you happen to be at the right place at the right time for no explicable reason? You can't explain it. You can't explain why you just happened to be there when you were there. I'm not so much looking for, those types of things where you're at work and something happens, or you're on your normal routine of this. But those moments where you really can't explain why you were where you were, other than just what seems to be mere happenstance. But the fact that you were at that right place at that right time, you either witnessed something amazing, you took part in something amazing, or something there changed your life. If that has happened to you, pay special attention to those moments. They don't happen often that we recognize. They happen more often than we realize, but we need to really pay attention to when they happen and don't just blow them off as a simple, insignificant moment in life. Now, I ask that because I have a particular interest in those types of moments. So if that has happened to you and you don't mind sharing, send me a message. I am actually looking for a few of those stories to go into a book I'm writing, giving full credit where credit is due, obviously, unless somebody wants to remain anonymous. And everybody that reaches out, I may not be able to use different stories in a capacity that I need them in. But I'm just looking for some of those crazy, fun, interesting, I couldn't believe it types of moments. And I can get in. If you reach out to me, I can go one-on-one with you and explain how I could or couldn't use a specific story that you might have. So if that's the case, reach out to me and let me know. But it's really important for us to take that time and to be aware of what's going on in the world around us. Cherish those moments. If there's one thing, as I've said before, that 2020 has taught us, it is to do just that, to pay attention and to cherish the importance of what happens around us, the important people in your lives. One of the other things I wanted to talk about here before we do get off of the night here is I came across some statistics here just to kind of, I've personally been spitballing and fielding some issues I know here at home with me, and I know it's been happening around the world for anybody that has parents of teenagers, especially teenagers. It's not, it may be as prevalent, but it may be not seemingly as prevalent if you have younger children. But the toll, the mental health struggles that have come from this pandemic that we're still fighting our way through. And so I came across a few things that I just wanted to highlight and discuss, because if for no other reason, this is just for my own edification. It's just maybe just for me to help talk about it. And maybe you guys will just be the guinea pigs with me. But this is just one of those things that I think I need to just talk about a little bit. So maybe I can help wrap my head around it a little bit better. And so I have this website brought up that there was a study that was done, and it discussed this very thing. And it was the impact of COVID-19 on the student mental health. And this was prepared by Active Minds, is who prepared this little study, and had some really kind of staggering statistics. And it's just one of those things that I don't think that we really realize, because as adults, we can go about our lives and say, oh, well, buckle it up. I mean, if you're like me, and we've talked about my age, if you were a child of the 80s, early 90s, 70s, whatever it is, that was the rub some dirt on it. That was the rub some dirt on it generation. That was tough love. That was, there's no crying in baseball. That's the, that was how things were for us. It wasn't the nicer, kinder, gentler way that kids are taught to be brought up today. And so a lot of times, if you were feeling down, if you were upset about something as a teenager, your parent just said, buckle up, and that's all you got to do. Just focus, or just do better, or something. There was no real advice because these issues weren't thought of. And so I'm grateful that I'm a parent in a time where these things are brought to light now, because I can pay attention to them because I think that it's very important to do so. 20% of college students say that their mental health has been significantly worsened under the COVID pandemic time frame. 48% of college students have experienced financial setback, which is to be expected, obviously. No statistics on people outside that aren't students, but we know that the financial ramifications have been crazy to think about. Among all students, 38% said having trouble focusing on studies and or work is the most stressful thing. Which to me, growing up when we did, if I had a hard time focusing on something, if I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, what's the first thing you're taught or that your parents did for you? They took away whatever your privileges were. They took away the privileges that you had, your phone, your ability to watch TV, your ability to go with friends. They'd ground you or whatever. But now, living in the social media thing, this whole world that we've come into, it's a different thing. So what are the answers? Having trouble focusing on studies when all they have is time. I think that's been the most frustrating thing for me is that I sit back and look and I say, you're not doing anything else. Why is it so hard to focus? But that's the life that we're in right now. That's what the pandemic has done. 74% of students are challenged in maintaining a routine. That much is very obvious. That routine is essential. We need to get our kids back to a routine. 8 in 10 students struggling with focus on school or work and avoiding distractions. That right there, my friends, is our cell phone, iPad, computer, social media life that we live in. 8 in 10 students are struggling with focus on school or work and avoiding distractions. They're not in class. Students are interacting most with parents during COVID-19, but that's not the case everywhere. A lot of kids are sheltering themselves and hiding away, and that's the most dangerous part of this. Number one, parents can support students in simply spending time with them. That ranked much higher than talking about COVID news. These kids today that they're living through this is their life. These junior high school students, they already know about the pandemic. They don't need to specifically talk about it. I think that was one of the most startling revelations out of this that I saw was that the recommendation from this study basically said that the number one thing that parents can do to support their kids is simply spend time with them. Simply spend time with them. Resource needs. The number one resource need of college students, mental wellness, virtual face-to-face time. The number one for high school students is digital social gatherings. I don't know about you, but that bothers me a little bit because I don't want that. 55% of all students do not know where to go for help. 55%. 55% of all students do not know where to go for help with their mental health. If you see that your students are struggling, they may not want to or feel comfortable talking to their parents about stuff. But if your kids are struggling, reach out to them and say, "Would you mind talking to somebody else?" One of the things that I've noticed that schools are doing is that they are setting up programs for professionals, for counselors, in a much more relaxed atmosphere, even when they're on modified regimens at school, when they only go to school 2 days a week. They are setting up modified situations where during a school day, kids can talk to professionals about their feelings. So there are resources out there. We just have to ask for them. 69% of college students are still hopeful or extremely hopeful about their future. That's a plus. The number one concern students hope administrators are considering right now is academic support. So it was just a very eye-opening thing there, guys, for me to see. It just threw me off a little bit. Like I said, it was just eye-opening to see this study come across and talk for a little bit about that. I appreciate you guys listening to me there. I think I just needed to talk a little bit about that myself. Rob says, not all parents are the best place for children to be. That is true. That is true. In many cases, the parents are struggling themselves, and they may not be in the situation where that's the case.
$69, dudes!
That was my wake-up call for everybody that fell asleep. Yeah, got some new sound effects here that I've been playing around with a little bit. And, of course, I have the button in case I need that for any kind of reason. Hopefully I know I can curse or swear or different things like that. But in case it gets really crazy in here, I've got the button. Got some angelic sounds going on here, too, that I can pipe in if I decide to. That's always a good thing. Oh, look out. Yeah. So, guys, I really wish I had a whole lot of fun stuff to talk about tonight. We really don't have much. I'm just going to slide in. I'm going to bring up the chance for some phone calls if anybody wants to call in. I have the phone call option for people if they want to call in here. How do you do that? Well, the Bearded BP with the little microphone after it online, call in online. I'll leave that open for you too. If you want to, you do so in the next few minutes. Otherwise, we're just going to slide right through. But that is an option for you if you are interested. If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer service to ensure your happiness. Whether you need beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to Pulpo Beard Oils, that's Pulpo beardoils.com, and use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order. Well, I want to say thanks to everybody who has waited out this whole show, because to borrow a phrase from one of my favorite old Indianapolis Colts and now YouTube sensations with his podcast show, the Pat McAfee Show, as he frequently says about his own show, I'm going to borrow that line. This show stinks. This show stinks. Hey, we can't set the world on fire every episode. This show stinks. So every once in a while, unfortunately, it just happened to be on the episode 69 where that should be fun. But yeah, tonight's show, this week's show, sorry, we're not setting the world on fire by any means. Every episode's not going to be life-changing. Sometimes we're just going to come on and it's just going to be a chance for old BP here to talk. talk to himself and the handful of people that want to tune in on a Friday night, spend some time with me. Sometimes that's how it's going to be. And those of you who are listening in a normal podcast platform, if you have waited out this long, I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you if you have waited out this long, because that says something. That says something. This is the kind of episode where we should probably have just lost all of our viewers for the show. I'm surprised there was anybody still here. So those of you, and if you, like I said, if you are listening on a normal podcast platform, audio-wise, wow. Thank you so much for continuing. This show maybe stinks, but this episode stinks, but hey, I promise that future episodes won't stink. We do have some cool stuff to be talking about here as time goes on, and we're going to be talking to some cool brothers. I've reached out to a handful of other brothers that I've been wanting to talk to, and just timing wasn't right. And I'm working this week to get them on the schedule. So we're going to be sharing in the lives of some really cool stuff going on. Some of our brothers that have some things going on in their personal lives, some things going on in chapters. We do have some events coming up, hopefully that will lead us in some fun charitable moods down the road. There are some charitable endeavors that I am aware of that I cannot speak of, not specific to my chapter, but other chapters that I'm aware of, but I can't speak to them yet. I want to make sure that I'm not the one that breaks the news or announces different things. So when those things come, I'll be able to share the news and cheer on everything that BV is all about, and we'll be able to celebrate those things all together for sure. Anybody still here? No? Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to get into the calendar of events here, and we're going to see where things take us. Let us know what we got going on in the world, what we do have currently going on. At the end of the month is the Bearded Villains Southern Indiana Polar Plunge. February 27th in Southern Indiana. Bearded Villains Polar Plunge for Southern Indiana chapter. Hit up those bros if you want to go get cold, get wet, both at the same time. Spend some really cool time with some brothers, changing some lives, making some money, doing some different things. Hit up the Bearded Villains Southern Indiana on Instagram. I'm sure they would love to see you out there supporting them and taking part. That's the end of the month, February 27th. Moving into May 21st, 22nd. Mark your calendars now. Mark your calendars now for DSV 5. DSV 5, it's in Ocean Springs, hosted by the South Mississippi chapter. That should be a real big event, I'm thinking, because for a lot of people, it'll be the first time they get out of their house in a long time. So Ocean Springs sounds like a place I want to be right now because it's like 10 degrees outside of my house. So I would be much happier in some place called Ocean Springs. I don't care if it's raining. But yeah, 10 degrees, 9 inches of snow on the ground. I'm past it. So that's May 21st, 22nd for DSV 5. South Mississippi chapter is the host. It's going to be a good time. Moving into June 11th and 12th. June 11th and 12th, the West Coast meet is in Denver, Colorado. One of these days, I'm going to find out why or how that worked out, because I don't think of the West Coast as Denver, but maybe it's just close enough geographically in respect to the United States geography, I guess, that's where it's sitting. But Denver, Colorado, the West Coast meet, June 11th and 12th. That same weekend, June 12th, in Knoxville, Smoky Mountain Brothers are hosting Knox Villains. Now, this was a huge event last year in the midst of a pandemic, so I'm excited to see what we're doing this year. June 12th, Knox Villains, Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains are the hosts. Get that on your calendars. Then September 2nd through the 6th. September 2nd through the 6th is the Villain Cruise 5. It's over in Barcelona, Spain, hosted by the Bearded Villains Finland and Sweden chapters. If you can get over there, sounds like a fun time. A whole cruise with villains? That'd be bad. That'd be awesome. September 2nd through the 6th, Villain Cruise 5. Hit up the Bearded Villains of Finland or Sweden if you need any information on that, and you can make it. September 24th to the 26th is the East Coast Meet. East Coast Meet, hosted by our brothers with West Virginia. The Bearded Villains West Virginia are our hosts in Parkersburg, West Virginia. East Coast Meet. Missed it last year because there was none. Looking forward to it because it was a lot of fun 2 years ago. That's September 24th to the 26th. And then finally, mark your calendars for September of 2021, just as a holder. Not sure exactly when this is going to take place, but it's sometime in September. The Four Corners Meet will take place. That is hosted by the Bearded Villains of Phoenix, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. It's held in Cortez, Colorado, and it's just a chance for brothers to hang out with brothers. Brothers hanging with brothers. It's a camping adventure. Bring your campers. Bring your tents. If it's me, I'm not bringing a tent. It's a camper. But, yeah, it's outdoors. It's for brothers only. No spouses, no kids, just brothers. Hanging out, having a good time. The attendance was really good last year, it looked like. Had a great time from everything I've heard about it. So, Four Corners Meet near the Four Corners Monument. It's in Cortez, Colorado in September of this year. Just keep that one in mind if you don't mind. If you don't mind, keep it in mind. Or something like that. Well, guys, this show stinks. I promise more, better, bestest, and more awesomest things will be coming. Yeah, this one's not a good one, but that's okay. We had some fun. We did have some good discussion here, and we learned a few things. I'm old. Cherish what's important. Cherish the memories when they hit you. Pay attention to what's important. Slow down. And enjoy life. Enjoy life. Enjoy the memories when you have them, guys. That's how we got to do it. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up episode 69 of The Heart of a Villain. That's going to wrap up episode
69, dude.
That's right, 69. So that's it. That's it. Remember, you can still buy those shirts, patches, pins, all the good stuff at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com, theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. That's where you can get all those previous episodes of the podcast, which are much better than this one. That were much better than this one. I want to challenge all of you guys to be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. Finally, guys, as I always say as we end every episode, remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So for now, have a great weekend. Enjoy the week ahead, guys. Take care. Stay safe.
This we get live with the script, high off loops and kick spit rhymes with the b-boy twitch, grabbing my junk and shit like it's 86. Shelly told 3 stripes we on. Hey, you know the B.I. It's BV worldwide fan ties, stateside across ponds, no borders. I am my brothers, keep your facial features covered, stay villain. One brotherhood, one ship.